Hi, we're back cooking with Sharon, and today I have an amazing seafood option for you today. You all know I love lobster, crab, shrimp, all types of fish, and if I can cook with it, then I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get started. Today, as you see, one of my faves is lobster. So we're going to make a spicy lobster pasta. Now I know we try to make things healthy around here, and the pasta component may not be the healthiest. However, like I said before, sometimes you got to just, splurge and eat what you want, but then go and work out and do the right thing. So let's get started. As you see here, I have 2 lobster tails. If you want your sauce a little bit more meaty, if you will, you could add more lobster tail, but honestly, this will probably be enough for about 4 portions. I have more pasta here than probably that we need, but what you'll do actually is I've already pre-boiled my pasta, my linguine. You can use any type of pasta, angel hair, regular spaghetti noodles. Like I said, I use linguine today because that's what I have here. We also have tomatoes, about 28-ounce can that you can get from the store. I prefer, or this would actually work best if you use a San Marzano. Why am I messing up today? It's all good. But essentially, a San Marzano tomato is a little bit different than your traditional tomatoes that are in the can. If that's all you have, that's cool. But this type of tomato is, a lot of Italians use it. It's like a cherry plum tomato. So it has a little bit more sweetness to it. And if you use another type of tomato that's in a can, all good. It's just the type of flavor profile that we're going for today. So we're using 2 types of onions today. At first I said, let's just start off with a regular yellow onion. But this shallot, as you all know, I've cooked with it before, and it has a little bit of a garlic flavor along with a little bit of sweetness. So I think it'll all mesh well together with what we're cooking and preparing today. So let's get started. As you see also here, I'm sorry I didn't go through the rest of the ingredients. I have fresh parsley, and I also have fresh mint, along with a white wine. Drier version is cool to use. I actually use today just something I had here, regular cooking white wine. But if you have something at home that you're sipping on while you're cooking and it's a dry white wine, feel free to go ahead and use it. I also have fresh garlic cloves, about 5 of them, salt, pepper, and then we got to make it spicy. So I have literally 3 types of spices here today. So if you're not that spicy type of person and you don't want to have it smoking hot, all good. You can adjust based upon your palate and what you can handle, essentially. So I have a jalapeno, and this is kind of like mid-grade as far as hotness. The hotness actually comes from, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to cut it, are the seeds. So if you want to take away some of the spice and flair, don't put as many seeds in what we're going to make. And then this is habanero, and this is going to be a little bit more spicy, actually a lot more. So we're not going to use a ton of it. And then I also have crushed red pepper. I'm going to save this to the end and add it in as we're tasting and cooking, but let's get started. So let's take our olive oil and just take a regular skillet pan. I use this type of skillet today because I want to have I want everything all inclusive in one pot. So I'm not using multiple pots and pans. And ideally, for this, you'd want to have something that is not going to scrape up your pot, but this is all I have right now, so I'm going to use it. So we're going to take some of our onions, and I actually pre-diced a bigger, medium-sized one. We won't use it all. You can kind of gauge. And then, like I said, this shallot, we're going to add this and saute it till it's translucent. I'm also going to add in, at this point, our fresh garlic cloves that have been minced as well. And as that is cooking, I'm going to cut our jalapeno and habanero. All right, so let's see. I think I'm just going to use half of this for right now. So I'm going to make it a little bit spicy because I like spice, and I know that people that are going to probably eat this like spice and flavor. So as you see here, the seeds and the contents in the middle is what makes it the spiciest. So we're going to keep that intact. If you don't want your sauce to be super spicy, then you'd cut out that middle part. So we're just going to make it, I'm going to slice it. Actually, you know what? I'll probably end up dicing it. Just so it'll probably cook down a little bit and you're not having those big pieces, you just have the flavor part of it. Okay, so we have our jalapeno. You don't have to, like I said, use the whole thing. I can already, oh my gosh, I can already smell the spice coming up. So again, if you're not that type of person that wants a whole lot of spice, then use a quarter of it, because I'm going to add in this habanero. I'm going to use half of this too. So put that off to the side, and we're going to do it the same way. Again, remember this middle part is where you're going to get the most spice. So I'm going to make this really fine, I think, because okay. I think that should do it. I mean, you don't want your food to be super spicy to where you can't even tolerate it, right? I don't. I want to be able to eat it and enjoy it. But you also want that flavor too. So you can always add in more spice, more salt. You can't take it away, and it's hard to. I don't want to be crying when I'm eating. So, all right. So we have, this is nicely cooked down. Let's add in our tomatoes. Okay. And then we're going to add in, after this is simmering for about 5 minutes or so, we'll add in our white wine and the other seasonings. Okay, so medium heat for right now. Let it cook and simmer. If you haven't already done so, then you can actually put a pot of water on to boil your noodles, whatever type we've already discussed that you'd like to use. This is mint, so we'll add in fresh mint and parsley. Okay. All right, and let's add in, I have here, I've already added in the cloves of garlic. However, a little extra won't hurt. So I like to cook with the garlic paste. I'm going to add in just a little bit of that and salt. I'm using today kosher salt. We'll use less of that, so don't put a ton of it in here until after you've tasted it. And then pepper, black pepper. All right. Let's go ahead and add in our peppers. And now again, if you don't want it spicy, it's all good, even though it's called spicy lobster pasta. You can make it just a tomato pasta, lobster pasta. But we want it to be nice and flavorful. So I'm going to add in a little bit. This you can find in your produce section near like the peppers and the fresh herbs. I like using it because it's a little bit more potent, and also it has a lot more flavor. So again, it's just garlic paste. Now we're going to let this simmer for about 25-30 minutes. I've taken these lobster tails and actually cut them down the middle just because it'll be easier for me to get out the meat, but we're going to add that shortly. So just hold tight, and let me still needs to simmer some, but just let me taste. Okay. Ooh. I'm going to add in a little bit more salt. and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. So put your lids on if you have a lid. If not, that's all good. Just use some type of cover. And on low to medium, we're going to let it simmer for about 30 minutes. So we'll see you shortly. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes and your sauce should be thoroughly cooked as far as the flavor. What we're going to do at this point is I'm going to add in the lobster. So we'll put this in for about, let's see, it'll cook a little bit quicker if you have it, like I said, split in half before, and just take a regular chef knife and split it down the middle and put it into your sauce. Okay. And we'll let that just simmer for about 5 minutes or so on high heat. And we'll cover it. And while that is cooking, this is not going to be cooked thoroughly through initially. 5 minutes or so, we'll just let it sit in the sauce and get some flavor. And then we'll start to plate up. So you should have your linguine or whatever pasta that you have selected. Angel hair, regular spaghetti, noodles. Like I said, I'm going to use linguine today. Okay. And, okay, yeah. I was going to say, this shouldn't be sticking together like this because what I've done, and I forgot to mention it before, but I've talked about it on some other episodes, and when we've used pasta, is to make sure that you have olive oil once you get done with it and it's cooked al dente. You just want to make sure that it has the olive oil so it doesn't stick together. Okay, so we have our pasta nicely plated there. And I don't know if you tried any of your sauce that you had simmering, but it's nice and flavorful. So you want to make sure that we're going to take the lobster out momentarily because we want it to finish cooking. But like I said, when we made the lobster bisque before, a lot of times, a lot of the flavor and that flavor that comes from the lobster shell, that's what we want in the sauce. So we did that with the lobster bisque as the base, if you recall. And then with this, we want that shell flavor, the seafood, that flavor from the lobster shell to come through. So I'm going to take it out so I can chop up our meat that we have. And then also for presentation, if you want to use the shell, that's another reason why we can cook it and it will actually turn to the bright orange, some orange tint to it. Otherwise, it's going to be like that brown color that you would see when we first took it out of the shell. Okay, so, and I'm going to use the shell when we plate up just for presentation purposes. So let's take the lobster meat out. It should come nice, just easily right out of your shell. Make sure you get all of it. Put your heat a little bit on low so it's still simmering. We don't want to overcook. Okay. And with the lobster, you don't want to overcook the meat either, so then it'll become tough. Oops. But we're making sure that we get everything out of the shell. We don't want to leave any of that good meat in there. And that's why it's easier if you cut your lobster tail in half, then look, it just easily comes out like that. Okay. We'll keep our shell in there for a little bit. And then let's just chop this lobster meat up and then finish it off and we'll be ready to enjoy. So make sure that you try your sauce now to make sure that it's spicy enough for you. If you want more spice, again, we have the rest of that jalapeno and that habanero. And then one thing, remember, we didn't use was the crushed red pepper. If you want to, I'm not going to do it this time, but if you want to with your lobster meat, you could leave a couple pieces a little bit in the whole, like a whole format, so you could, for presentation purposes. But we're going to use all this lobster today because you know lobster is not cheap. So I want all of it in my sauce. And since we're dicing it, cutting it up really coarsely or finely, this is going to cook very quickly. So another less than 5 minutes. We're going to add this to our sauce. Finish it off. All right. I'm going to take these shells out so we get all the sauce contents. All right, and then we're going to use this, like I said, to garnish. So we'll finish cooking. And then also, I don't know how you all like your sauce, but this is a thicker sauce that we're preparing today. If you want more of a thinner, you're that type of person that you want your sauces to be thinner and not chunky, then you can add in some tomato sauce, and then you'd have to make sure that you flavor or add enough flavor so it's not just that tomatoey flavor. So if you want a little bit more runny, if you will, or liquidy, then I would suggest you do that. This is actually going to be a heartier sauce from the type of tomatoes that we used, remember earlier, so it's going to be thicker. So I think we're almost ready. I'm excited to eat. I'm sure some other people are too that like spicy, that like spicy food. And let's see. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm only going to eat a little because of these carbs, you know. Got to watch the carb intake. Again, one thing, parsley. Let's see. We'll use this crushed red pepper if we need it. You could also use some fresh Parmesan if you want to garnish it with it. And then also parsley. I'm going to grab the parsley towards the end because I have a big container of it and we don't need that much. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's looking good. All right, so I think we're ready to plate up. This looks amazing. It smells good. But before we plate, let me taste, just to make sure that the flavor is good if we don't need to cook it any longer or add anything. It is spicy. I think we're good. No more spice for me. I'm just going to add just a little bit more garlic. And I think we'll be good to go. I'm going to use garlic paste, but you can use any other type of flavor, just based upon your palate. All right. Let's plate this up. And then again, if you like your pasta sauce more saucier, you know, not dry pasta, go ahead and add as much as you like. And then if you're trying to be fancy and have a great presentation, that's the only thing I'm going to use half a shell because our plate isn't that big. So we can use half a shell and that's it. So simple. And it looks amazing. So the only thing that I would add would be, like I said, some Parmesan and maybe some parsley. But wasn't that easy? It's going to taste delicious. So, again, thanks for joining us at Cooking with Sharon. We'll see you the next time.